Hi, welcome to Tea Time at the Movies. I'm your host, Tea Time. Great to be with you guys here for another new episode. I reviewed a couple movies here. The two new ones that come out this weekend. First one is Anemone, the new Daniel Day-Lewis drama. And I also watched The Smashing Machine, the new drama starring The Rock. He plays Mark Kerr, the UFC martial arts fighter from the late 90s, early 2000s. But let's get right into it. Welcome to the show. Banner. Boom. Bunch came out. A couple other horror movies came out. Hopefully, I'll see them next week. Gonna get a chance to see Coyotes. Good Boy looked interesting. Very short, hour, like 15 minutes. And Killing Faith. Another one came out. And then also this weekend, there's some sort of Taylor Swift movie. Maybe a lot of showtimes. Maybe I'll try to see that as well this weekend. But let's get right into the ones that I did see. Anemone, the new drama. Daniel Day's back from out of retirement just for his son. It's rated R for language throughout, 2 hours and 1 minute. From writer-director Ronan Lewis, Daniel Day's son. I think he's 27, the son is. His film debut here. Get his dad out of retirement, get his buddy Sean Bean into a movie, and bam, you got maybe box office gold. We'll find out here. But the plot of the movie, if you haven't seen the trailer, after trouble in the military, Ray, played by Daniel Day, goes into seclusion in the North England woods. But after 20 years, his brother, played by Sean Bean, and his past come back to reconnect with him. So, 2 hours, 1 minute. This was pretty long. The cast here: Daniel Day-Lewis plays Ray. Sean Bean plays his brother Jem. But there were some other actors, the wife and the son. They have small roles. I didn't recognize them. But overall, this was a no thanks, not for me. This movie was way too slow and way too little plot. Shot very slowly. Just new directors, I guess, they just love to keep the camera on one shot for 30 seconds too long, 15 seconds too long. And this was, you could have easily cut 15 minutes just out of the shots that he just stayed on for way too long. First 20 minutes, there's absolutely no plot. I guess a little bit of plot with Sean Bean going to look for his brother. He says goodbye to his wife and the kid, which is kind of weird because the kid's just kind of older and he's not verbal. He's not saying anything. He's just laying on the bed, so you don't really know if the kid is maybe autistic or something. It didn't seem like he was upset. I don't know. It just seemed like he was laying there kind of autistically, but he's not. You find out later that's not what he is. There's other issues. There's little to no setup here. The very beginning of the movie, they show some sort of looks like a kid drew a cartoon of the basic, IRA, Northern Ireland with Great Britain fight in the 90s, 80s, late 90s. I forgot when it was, but not much more than that setup. And then the paper moves kind of slowly. It's all drawn. Looks like it's drawn by a kid. It shows the IRA, then it shows like British military fighting them a little bit, and then nothing but fire. I guess we're just expected to know the IRA and the British government fight, and there was little to no setup. There was no setup except for that. The plot trickles in and is mundane and uninteresting. You literally wait for like an hour to find out key plot points and why we're finding this story out and why Sean Bean is coming to find his brother. But I will give the movie this. It was shot beautifully, shot in the wilderness, beautiful forest shots. The cabin was cool, looked beautiful, beautifully shot, just way too long shot. Like I said, you could easily 15 to 1 minutes cut from this just by the shots just staying on one image for too long. Nothing happens in this movie. There's a storm. That's about it. It's really just basically that interfamily drama, kind of just set in a wacky way. Haunted past kind of story. I don't want to really ruin the plot for anyone, but not enough plot for a 2 hour movie. Just kind of artsy with all the lingering shots. Just too much lingering. Uh, I will give it also this. Daniel Day was very good. Sean Bean was good as well. It was just bad dialogue, uninteresting dialogue. I guess I believe they were brothers, but they have a bit of a tussle at one point. That was kind of believable. But you don't really like any of the characters. I didn't really like it. I just like Daniel Day as an actor, but that's not enough for me to like a movie or a character that much. Sean Bean, I guess, he's a religious man, so you kind of like him like that for that reason. But later on, you find out other plot points, and you kind of find out why, or maybe explain that a little bit. Yeah, and then like the last third of the movie, there's like a hailstorm, but it shows like the hail is like these huge ice clumps the size of like a softball or a large baseball. Like, how much damage that would do to all the houses that it showed plummeting with these giant hailstorm. It just was unrealistic. I don't know why they made it that unrealistic. Just make a small hailstorm, like make it believable. It doesn't have to be a size that would like destroy windows everywhere. It wouldn't just like it would destroy the roofs of houses, falling from the sky, a giant clump of ice like that big. The realistic storm. The score was okay. There's a plot point where Daniel Day's listening to some music, some rock music or something that was pretty good, but then they kind of stray away from that. The score was okay. The mood of the scenes along was okay, but nothing you haven't seen before here. Just boring, how to pass story. I won't spoil anything for you. If you've really been jonesing for some Daniel Day, you might enjoy this. His performance was pretty good, but it was 2 hours. Prepare yourself. That's 2.5 hours with trailers. Over that, because it's like 2 hours and 1 minute. But overall, you can skip it. Nothing you haven't seen. You've seen better Daniel Day performances than this. Better writing in his other movies. I'll give it to the kid. It was a good first performance or directing debut, I guess. This just lacked direction and pacing. Like, my God. Literally like an hour plus in before you get any of the plot or any of the interesting stuff. There was some funny parts with Daniel Day talking to Sean Bean, some funny stories. I won't ruin any of those, but those were entertaining. Why I like Daniel in this. So if you see it, let me know if you enjoyed the stories he's telling with Sean here. But overall, you can skip it. Nothing you'll miss. All right, next up here, and lastly, unfortunately, I only got a chance to see the 2 movies here. The Smashing Machine, the new drama starring The Rock. This is rated R for language and some drug abuse during the film. This is 2 hours and 3 minutes. It comes from writer-director Benny Safdie. Looks like the one I recognize, he wrote Uncut Gems, which was very good from a few years ago, Adam Sandler. The plot, the movie takes place between the 1997 and 2000 and tells the story of UFC MMA fighter Mark Kerr and the events that take place during those years. So the cast, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, he plays Mark Kerr. Emily Blunt plays the love interest, wife, girlfriend, Dawn Staples. Ryan Bader plays kind of his coach and also MMA fighter as well, Mark Coleman. Big cast, a bunch of other people I didn't really recognize, but a lot of other people, a lot of MMA fighting people you might recognize. But overall, this was a no thanks, not for me. This Smashing Machine was not good. It was it's more of a biopic. Why did it limit itself to only these 3 or 4 years here? I don't really understand. Terrible title of the movie. Just because they never mentioned the Smashing Machine was like his nickname. I mean, there's UFC announcers. Unless I missed it, I didn't go to the bathroom or anything. They never mentioned that he was the Smashing Machine. You'd think you'd mention that is his nickname, at least once in the movie, especially when there's announcers announcing the fights. So the story was poorly told. There was no setup for the character build here with The Rock. It showed him his very first fight, fighting like this. Looked like a fat, overweight plumber. I mean, my God. But that's it. It just shows like his first few fights in the. It didn't look like UFC. It looks kind of like underground MMA fighting. But and like the few times they announced The Rock, or Mark Kerr, they announced that he's 6'1" and whatever 200 pounds or whatever. The Rock is 6'4". He's a giant. He's on steroids. I looked up Mark Kerr. He's with the prosthetics and the makeup. He kind of looks like Mark Kerr, but he's much bigger than Mark Kerr. 6'4" and 250, 300 pounds. The Rock was like towering over all these people he was fighting. No wonder he was winning all these fights. But Mark Kerr's 6'1". He's not 6'4". There's a difference. 6'4s are ginormous monsters like the Rock. The first few fights look fake and slow. I was going to read you the Smashing Machine because I looked it up. Why was it called the Smashing Machine? It's because it's his freaking nickname. The Smashing Machine, he earned this. Mark Kerr earned this moniker due to his aggressive and dominant fighting style, which involved techniques like headbutting and knee grounding opponents, as well as the ferocity and speed at which he ended his matches. I wish I would have seen that in any of the fighting that they showed in The Rock. It all looks slow as hell, not ferocious. They didn't show him headbutt once, but maybe one time. The knee pounding, okay. And then he's fighting in the Pride League. It looks like it was based in Japan, or that's where they're fighting at that particular point in time. Where they outlaw headbutting and knee butting, or kneeing someone to the head when they're on the ground. They make that illegal, and that was, I guess, The Rock's or Mark Kerr's specialty. But they didn't really make a big deal or a point to that. They made a big deal that it was made illegal, but not that it was his fighting style or that it was his nickname, which you might want to maybe just dip into or delve into. Another huge problem I had in this movie, The Rock and Mark Kerr are basically the same age. They're in their early 50s now, but The Rock is playing him 22 years ago. A 52-year-old is playing a 29 to 32-year-old. I mean, The Rock looked old in this. His skin looked old. It looked like he looks 50. He is 50. He can't be playing like a 30-year-old. The hair was obviously fake, but they show them shaving it off at one point. And it was very stiff acting by The Rock. It was more stiff. The prosthetics they glued to his face or his acting in this. He just kind of had like a dead stare to this. He kind of played kind of dumb all the time, but there wasn't enough dialogue or things happening for them to show any of that. And minor spoilers if you don't know, but he gets into some drug abuse in this, well, like I said at the beginning, but and it's not very clear what drug he's taking. Is he taking steroids? Is he taking opioids? I'm pretty sure he was taking opioids for one scene later in the movie, but he was also obviously taking steroids. You don't get that huge if you're not taking steroids. The Rock nowadays, he looks a lot smaller. He's probably stopped taking steroids so much. But if he keeps injecting himself with this like clear liquid from a vial, and I thought opioids were taken like pill form, not liquid syringes. I guess maybe they are as well. I don't know. They didn't make it clear what he was taking. And they did this thing. I noticed they use like the same arena or same studio stage to show like all the wrestlers coming in like in different arenas. I mean, you can obviously tell it was like the same arena or the same sound stage. Like they didn't dress them up enough and to make it believable, like they were different arenas with 50,000 people capacities or whatever. It looked like it was the same sound stage, just shot over and over again, and they just kind of swapped things out pretty cheap. I noticed they did the same thing in Bohemian Rhapsody. Not that was a problem, but they keep showing that he's all around the world, but they clearly keep using the same soundstage. I just kind of put different setups for the videos. Not a huge problem. I know you can't probably travel to every little venue that they actually shot at, but small nitpicking there. The fights were way too slow. I mean, maybe MMA at first was slow like this, but they seem to be a lot faster nowadays. And I read you how he got the nomenclature or the nickname, the Smash Machine. I didn't really see that in the movie at all. It wasn't shot well, the fight scenes. And it's just bad acting. The other MMA fighter that also trains with The Rock, his coach, very stiff acting, very poor acting. Just get a real actor, get a real 30-year-old to play the Smash Machine. Sure, The Rock is a big name, but you can't have a 50-year-old playing a 30-year-old. Doesn't Wasn't believable. They did get rid of The Rock's tattoo somehow, probably makeup, but he did have one tattoo here, or on one of his arms. But The Rock is tattoos everywhere on his body. They had to be makeup or CGI. If you're going to CGI, why not de-age him a little bit? I don't believe him and his Emily Blunt. It turns out like they get married after the movie. I thought they were married the whole time. It turns out I think it was his girlfriend. It didn't say like they got remarried after the movie. It said they got married after the movie, and they treated like they were married. Or, I don't know. Introduce that storyline better. They didn't seem in love at all. They just seemed kind of put together because it was written because they were put together. I don't know. Movies show how they meet usually, or some sweet moment between the two. The plot points of this were simple plot points you learn in school to touch on to keep people interested and to wrap everything up. Like The Rock, he's in Japan. He sees this nice bowl, with gold lining and stuff, very beautiful artistry, and he buys it. But Emily Blunt isn't there when he buys it. He never show him like telling her how important it was to him or how much expensive it was or anything like that. But then when they're having an argument, she smashes it. And then later in the movie, she glues it back together, but not with gold like the Japanese do, but with I had only had super glue. They laugh together. That just seems straight out of like writing 101. Like you got to make it a little more touching, or not just so this happens and then this happens. It just didn't feel heartfelt or meaningful at all. Just felt put in there as a plot point. The Rock's acting, I got to that. It seemed like a lot of this was shot with like a handy cam, like that movie Johnny Depp when he plays that bank robber, shot like that. Not that that's a bad thing, but I don't know. Kind of shaky cam at times too. Just could have been shot better. Could have been better written. Because it takes place either in The Rock's home, which is like a large home, looks like he's rich and stuff, but then at one point he's arguing with the Japanese Pride people, who the Pride is the event that puts on the fights, about like $3,000. I mean, that's a lot of money, especially in 2000. But I mean, if you're giantly rich, and each person is only 3,000, how does The Rock afford, or Mark Kerr affording all these luxuries if the purse is only 3,000? Because they make a big deal at the end that the tournament that they're in is the winner takes $200,000. I mean, they keep mentioning that's a lot of money, things like that. It felt unbalanced and not explaining anything at all, really. This film, it didn't build up the MMA fighting and how he was big in the culture. Mark Kerr, I guess he was huge. I don't know. I've never heard of him. And it only shows like him big in Japan, not in America. I don't know. Isn't Dana White in the UFC from the beginning? Wasn't Dana White a character in this? Or maybe it just wasn't part of it. But overall, I'm not sure why was this movie made. I mean, it was more of like a biopic telling the story of Mark Kerr, especially the end credits. Where they say what happens to him after the movie, because it stops at 2000. This guy's like in his 50s now. I think he was born with the same year as The Rock, or they're both in their early 50s. He wasn't shown to be a big deal, and then he just, after the movie, kind of just ends with, and then it shows like what happens with him. But that was more interesting than the movie. This movie was 2 hours. It was too slow. It wasn't focused. It was bad directed. Could have used a better directing. Any direction, really. I'm not sure why this story was told. Really, it wasn't inspirational or anything. I'm not going to spoil the ending or anything, but who wins, who loses, or what happens to him. But just Google it. There's nothing really here to see. The music, the score, I guess, was okay. They didn't really use any music or like songs or anything like that. But this was a skip. Skip it. So this weekend, I hope to see Coyotes, Good Boy, 2 dog wolf-based movies. I love dogs. My dog's sleeping here, Miss Millie. Killing Faith. I didn't really see what that one was about, but I'm always up for a new movie. And then the Taylor Swift concert movie. I'm not sure what it is. I'll look into it. It's only like an hour and a half. I like some of the Tay Tay songs. So that's all I had for you guys this episode. Anemone, Skip. It's bad. It's named after the flower, apparently. Sean Bean says it like in the middle of the movie. Are those animes the dad used to plant? I'm not sure. And it's not really worth thinking why it was called that. Or I mean, they also show the flowers at the beginning, or not when he's planted them, and then the storm happens and it smashes all the anemones. Nothing worth thinking about. Just skip it. And then Smash Machine, skip it as well. Nothing there. The Rock, too old for this part. Too boring, too slow. But thanks for tuning in. Hope to have a new episode for you guys Monday morning, hopefully. And thanks for tuning in. Remember that the T stands for truth, and that's a guarantee. See you guys next time.